Wait for it. Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a chaos coordinator, and one stabby... Oh, crap, I messed all that up. Whatever. You've got the introduction.
You suck.
Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a stabby chaos coordinator, and
Wow,
one
starting the abuse early.
geeking out of our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction, and you saw some of that dysfunction just now. So without further ado, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves to our listeners and viewers at home, starting with first-time panelist, Mr. Leif Dolan. I'm trying to make you sound fancy, but how do you say your name?
Leif.
Leif.
Like the Vikings.
Okay.
But of course, I grew up with everyone saying Leif.
Did you correct them and pull your pointer finger out and point at them when you did it?
Depending on what age I was and where I was at.
I am sure you were really up in the face with your drill sergeants.
No.
Listen here, Mr. Tanker Daddy.
They never even call him Leaf anyway. They just call him Dolan.
He's Dolan.
Yeah.
So, anything you want us to know about you besides you a recovering tanker?
Recovering? Hey, have you heard the saying, best job I ever had?
So did you do the death before dismount? Was that really your motto?
No, that just became popular right after the movie Fury. And since Brad Pitt said it, we adopted it.
Before that movie came out.
Man, the real story behind that movie was so much better than the movie.
Well, that's usually the case.
We will have to have a movie review on that one, LaVoice, and you can come back and wax poetic on it.
Yeah. No, just
Your
so you
rants
can
are
tell me I'm
very
wrong.
popular.
Just so you can tell me I'm wrong again. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, your wife sent me a note on that one. She's like, "Hey now."
I know.
What did
She
the note
dove
say?
into that
Yes,
comment
he's definitely
section and said,
wrong.
"Hey."
No,
I don't remember. Just she got a little snarky with me back, which I thought was hilarious. So
She's a vet too. She can take it.
yep. All right. Speaking of crazy, LaVoice, you want to introduce yourself to our listeners right at home?
Hey, I am Michael LaVoice, aka LaVoice in Your Head, the sci-fi and fantasy author who also does voice work on the side. And I am also a veteran, was not a tanker. I wanted to be a tanker. They nullified my contract. That sucked. So ended up being a generator mechanic. I don't know how that worked out. But anyway, 4 years in the Army, just in time for Desert Shield / Storm. That was a great time.
Timing is everything.
Absolutely.
All right. Next, we have the often missing, overworked, underpaid federal employee, former infantryman, Mr. Nick Garber.
I'm pretty sure that's me that you're talking about. Like halfway through, I'm like, underwork, overpaid, federal employee. I'm like, holy shit, that's me. Nick Garber, U.S. Army veteran, 17 years. Didn't retire. I didn't do my 20, but I got out as a captain.
Hold on. Officers always say retired, even if they only did their 4 years.
did you say retired?
They can always
something
pull
else?
us back, so you can never retire. They can always pull us back. So, yeah, I was a infantry company commander. I've been infantry my entire career from a day one private. Loved it. That truly was the best job I ever had, to go forth and destroy the enemy through fire and maneuver, and call everybody a pogue. So that was awesome.
Nice.
Now
Communicate.
shoot, move, and communicate. Bullets don't fly without supply. I didn't learn that until I was an executive officer, which I hated.
Speaking of pogues, we have the one, the only Mr. Rick Partlow.
Hey, I was infantry.
Dude.
I was never a pogue. 25th ID. I was in at a similar time to Michael, except we did not go over there because we were light infantry. So
That's the biggest lie in the military, light infantry, my backside.
we
Yeah,
hung
because
on-
you're
we
still
hung around
carrying
block
50 pounds of crap.
Oh,
hung around
that's
block
a good day.
that way. I've written about 90 books, most of the military science fiction, the rest space opera, and a lot of them were about various forms of armor.
And that one dinosaur romance book we don't talk about.
I will talk about it all day.
the time.
And finally, we have Mr. Terry Mixon, the guy who helped fake the moon landing.
That's right.
He's making
That
the
was
mix.
my job when I was at NASA.
I was an OH-58 helicopter crew chief, so anti-tanker. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, maybe.
Oh, Leif looked up at that one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, anti-tanks? No.
Okay.
In other
So,
words,
Rick, I'm catching up with you, Rick. I've got over 50
Anti-enemy
now.
tanks, Leif. Anti-enemy tank.
Okay.
Friendly's good.
Yes. In theory, he didn't shoot at our tanks. In theory.
Theory. That's one theory. Sure.
I did have a friend who was over in Iraq and was in a pickup truck with one of those little flashers in the back, and somebody in a Black Hawk helicopter put a 50 caliber round through their pickup bed.
Was it one of those Toyota Tacticals?
Yeah.
Those things were a menace to society. So, and as you know, I'm J.R. Handley, former infantryman myself, but I did it right. I stayed a sergeant because I was just cool like that, or maybe
You
not
did a
popular
corporal
enough.
more than you did a sergeant.
Well, I was a corporal 3 times because I was so good at it. But I just want you to know that doesn't happen in the modern army because they won't let you recover from your missteps with alcohol and ladies like they did.
Saying you were a corporal 3 times, like when I say I enjoyed my sophomore year of high school so much, I did it twice. It doesn't really.
Well, I mean, I was so good at my job, they never fired me from my position. They just took my rank and pay. So, but they kept giving it back. And then the third time they had a bet among the first sergeant and the platoon sergeants about whether I'd keep it. So my platoon sergeant had money on it, and he kept me on duty for the next week until my sergeant orders came through. So I couldn't even get in trouble again.
JR, if you were one of my troops, I would have made you my driver.
What can I say? We just like to party a little bit, and infantrymen like to drink. Well, soldiers like to drink. I don't think that's an infantry thing in general. But all right, so we are a podcast sponsored by a coffee company, and we do shamelessly shill for the man. So today we've got to ask the most important of all the important religion questions. And since we are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes, we are civilized human beings here at the Blast Place podcast. I'm going to ask you, sirs, coffee or tea, and how do you take it? Starting with you, Leif.
Leif.
That's what I said. I'm hearing.
That's not what you said.
Coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
Coffee or tea or me? I read that book.
Okay. So
or am I too old?
That's a no.
Maybe I'm too old.
Okay. LaVoice.
Oh, coffee, black as my soul, as always.
You have a soul? I thought you sold that already.
No. I got it back from the ginger.
Michael likes his coffee strong and black like his men.
There you go.
By the ginger, do we mean John Apple? Is that the ginger?
No, we've got other gingers. We collect them.
We do we? We're collecting gingers now?
Yeah, I mean, we got to have a soul. You know what? We can't talk about that. That's classified. We'll talk off air. Garber, what are you drinking these days?
Decaf coffee, so I don't die.
Oh,
so mud water.
Yeah, it's useless brown water.
What's the point?
It's like a
habit.
We know we call brown water.
It's hot and it's brown. Shit water, yeah. But
that's about to
I don't know. I've been drinking sun tea. The wife was nice enough to make sun tea because it's been really hot out here in Southern California. So yeah, throw a little lime juice in there, and it's not bad. It's tolerable. Yeah.
Okay. Rick, what about you?
I do not drink either one.
Diet Coke for the win. Okay. So just that fake sugar to pickle your insides, and you're good to go.
Well, it's been working for me since 1984. So yeah.
You haven't aged a day since then either. You're doing great.
He's every bit as bad as Dan Kemp and his cases full of Mountain Dew.
In 100 years, people are going to say we need to start thinking about the world we're leaving behind for Rick Partlow. All right,
he can figure it out like everybody else.
Terry, Terry is only a year older than me, by the way.
Terry,
it's true. I'm not aging as well as he is.
Is it because you're not drinking enough coffee or tea?
It's because I was an officer and he was enlisted.
I have it on good authority that Rick has a back to tank at his house. So,
Terry,
I like it black, like LaVoice, like his men.
Oh, okay.
Oh my lord!
we don't judge. Well, not much and not public. Okay, we even judge publicly. Who am I kidding? All right, well, I want to dive into the subject, so I don't want to beat around the bush. So we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly shill for the man, and then we're going to dive right into the topic that brought us here. 100 tons of steel and more firepower than the devil himself. They should be invincible, but armored combat is brutal and mistakes are fatal. Within, mech jockeys and treadheads take on the world one powerful blast at a time, risking it all for duty, fame, and glory. But deep down, they fear a savage contradiction. Armor can be your salvation. It can also be your worst nightmare. Which will hold true? Climb into the commander's hatch and find out. Buy a copy of this amazing anthology today. You deserve answers. All right, clearly I am not taking LaVoice's job as a voice actor anytime soon, but
Dude,
at least
do
the
a
art was
voiceover
cool.
ever again.
At least the art was cool. I might know the guy that drew it.
You
The art
deserve
was
answers.
nice. I like the
want
art.
to believe.
That's right. That's right. All right.
He's me.
I need to pick that one up. It's got Partlow and Pardo. So yeah.
It does.
You got all the O's and lows up in there. This is good.
All right. So one of the things that that keeps coming up is the concept of what arms and armor is going to look like in speculative fiction in the future. So we're going to start with: do you guys prefer for your speculative fiction the rule of cool or realism?
Yes.
You can do both.
Yes.
It can be functional and fashionable at the same time. Look cool.
I prefer whatever makes people buy more books.
That too.
It's going to be one of those panels, isn't it?
And which is it, Rick? Which is it?
It's usually the rule of cool.
Okay.
People
So-
buy buttloads of mech books, and mechs are one of the most unrealistic things ever talked about in science fiction. So, and
But
I
they're
love writing
so
about them. And I love
freaking
them.
cool.
They are. They're very cool.
So if
Power
we're going
armor is like right below them.
Terry's
on
just
that
like
list.
pulling cats left and right off of his desk. It's like every 2 seconds.
I'm
he
eating
pulls another-
something, so my diabetes doesn't get me. And they
how
want
many cats do you have there?
his
all of
pawn
them.
says 100.
All
Every
of them.
single one of them.
Okay, great.
So when it comes to the tank side of things, do you prefer the traditional treads or do you like the hover tanks that you see in some media?
Hover tanks are almost as unrealistic as mechs, unless you have like some kind of anti-gravity.
I mean, you've
I
got
don't know.
hover
I don't know.
boats.
David Drake didn't use anti-gravity. He just used plenum chambers, so it works.
The coolest tank in speculative fiction is the Scorpion from Halo, and I will die on that hill.
You'll die on a lot of hills,
Scorpion
though.
kill you on that hill.
It's been 6 months since I died on a hill, JR. Let me be.
I think the hill that I would die on, I'd have to go back to Hammer Slammers.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. They did not use anti-gravity. They did not use treads. They used what they call blowers, fans.
Yeah, they were hover tanks.
Yes.
Plenum
They did
chambers.
hover, but no anti-gravity. And that could be something that is real.
It could
Yeah,
also
I mean,
be something
you have
also
a-
defeated with
The
a few
problem with the
well-placed
hover tank
landmines.
is the power source, though. You could have like a fusion reactor that fits in a tank.
Yeah, but you also jack up those fan blades and you're done.
That's true too. Well, maybe they used magnetohydrodynamics, which case there would be no physical blades.
I checked my degrees. I don't have any of those that can actually comment on this subject right now.
Rick, you need to go back and read David Drake. You really do. Read Hammer Slammers. Come back and talk to us about it later.
I enjoyed Hammer
I
Slam.
read it already.
Start out with the short story, Tank Lords.
I remember a lot of people got their testicles blown off for some reason.
Yeah, he was really into that. That was
Yes, he
weird.
was.
I was like,
I'm not sure that you
again?
actually read the same stories that I read.
That's Mike. Mike remembers.
You forgot about the
I
testicles
remember.
exploding?
it
I kind of
happened.
forgot about those.
Yeah, like in the front of the book, there was a guy who got his blown off in the story, the first story, I think. The guy got his blown off, and then by the end, the main character got his blown off, and I'm like, do I really want to read about a main character with no testicles?
Yeah, it's a question I asked myself.
Well,
prosthetics? What do you do?
Good old one nut Charlie.
I've checked out some of your stories, Rick, and it seems like a lot of your main characters have no testicles. So maybe you're already aware
They're
of it.
called women, Terry. I know you're not familiar with them. But
Damn, Terry.
It's getting hot up in here.
Ouch!
My
I'm
goodness.
burning! Help
Shots
me!
fired. Shots fired.
I'm very
Oh,
aroused.
so just so we're clear, the reason Terry has this he'll die on is because he's done that to some of his characters. I think he did that to Paulie Cooley, who he named as a character.
Well, I
and then he-
basically cut off his lower half of his torso, and made
Well,
him
that's
live.
all of it.
So that's
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
like it.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
Last time
all
I
of
checked
it.
it,
He's
next
like
to me, the lower half
missing
has
Half the man
everything.
it used to be.
Okay. So
It's like Miguelito Loveless from the Wild Wild West.
Stone
movie.
Temple Pilots reference for the win there, Partlow.
oh, you guys, you don't seem to have a preference as far as realism versus rule of cool. You
I
just
like realism when I can get it, but when it comes to things like mechs, there is no realistic way to have a mech, really. So if you want them, you have to be willing to accept some hand waving.
I'm not a big fan.
You
of
got
realism.
to use hand wavium for the energy source, and that's always the biggest problem. Like Rick brought that up earlier. The energy source to do the things that we want these mechs and these hover tanks and all that.
You got to have
shit
some
to
kind of a
do.
miniature fusion bottle, basically.
But we suspend disbelief anytime we're really in a fantasy or mil sci-fi setting. We already kind of accept the fact that humans and humanity at that point had solved that energy problem and found it to fit as the size of a AA to fund their tanks and fuel their tanks and energize their tanks. So I learned
it's
a lot
the
of
first
that shit.
problem. It's the first sci-fi problem you really have to solve every time. You got to have that out of the way, or you're not going anywhere. You're not doing.
Well, look at
much.
the iPad. Like, we never thought that was going to be a thing when we were all watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. It doesn't make sense that he had like 9 iPads on his desk when one would do, but still, years
they
later.
had pads at all.
The thing about Star Trek TNG that bugged me the most was the touch screens. I was just like,
Really?
okay,
That
yeah,
was
but
the thing that bugged me the most was the fact that it's like the 24th century. We have faster than light travel and transporters, but haven't solved male pattern baldness.
I think it's a choice at that point.
Yeah.
It's like,
I do remember
could
one
fix it.
episode when they were talking about baldness, and he said it was a choice.
okay.
I don't remember which episode it was, but I do remember that.
maybe he's allergic to the treatment, like Kirk was allergic to Retinox 5.
Yeah, for glasses.
Is Kirk allergic to genetic surgery, which would take care of that before he's born?
That's another good point. But anyway, we're wandering far afield.
So
Go ahead,
Power
Jeff.
supply. When I had that plasma gun that blew J.R. Handley to atoms, I didn't worry about power supplies.
I don't know if it blew him to atoms. It blew him to my office. And then he just showed up one day and I was like, what are you doing here? I'm like,
Terry, you're saying
I'm
you
going
blew
back to bed.
JR?
I think you missed a few words in that.
So, all right. So, if we give up all of the realistic constraints just to have a cool story, what do you look for in good, tanks versus mecha or any of the cool weapon systems
You can
inside?
have realistic tanks, just not realistic mecha. But
Yeah, you can
if
have
you want
realistic
realism,
tanks.
there's ways to do it. In armor, there's plenty of ways to do it. It's just a question of you're going to have to find a balance, because right now we're at a balance between defense and offense, where tanks are kind of big targets for cheaper weapons that can blow them up. But in the near future, there may be like electromagnetic fields and defense lasers and crap that can shoot down drones and missiles, and the tank could be back on top again. It's a balance you have to strike.
I mean, the tank is, after all, primarily, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I was not a tanker, but I always thought of them as more of an anti-infantry weapon. They're just basically anti-infantry.
I'm pro-infantry.
If you look back in the far history of tanks, back when the Marks came out by Britain and they were named land ships, it was to fight the trench warfare of World War I. So yeah, anti-infantry, but more than that, it was to give protection going across the trenches.
there are armored
So-
troop carriers.
Right.
If you take that idea of maneuvering further into the future, what kind of ground will you have to maneuver across? And who will be protecting that ground?
Yeah, because
Most
I mean,
of
a
the
lot
things
of
I like to read are tank on tank battles, not necessarily tank on people or tank on mech. It's who is stalking who and how.
yeah, and those do make great stories. I think a lot of science fiction, well, mill sci-fi, too much of it, in fact, in my opinion, focuses more on space battles and space navies. And I'm kind of in this, and even though I've done a lot of that over the last 2 years, I've always kind of fallen into Rick's camp where we'd much rather just put boots on the ground, because if you're going to bombard stuff from orbit, you're tearing up what you're trying to take. And so you got to take it. It's going to eventually be a door by door situation.
Well, you also have to, in my opinion, you'd have to go way back to the Bolos. You cannot, in a book or in a movie, you cannot make a tank a character unless you come at it from the artificial intelligence of giving the tank an intelligence. I'm Bolo Mark 5. I'm Bolo Mark 17. My name is such and such of the Dinochrome Brigade. A tank cannot be a character in a book. My opinion, my thoughts.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, Marisa Wolf did Beyond Enemies, and that was kind of a synthesis of that idea of the AI with the human, flesh and blood human being in the tank, and the whole thing becomes a character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like.
Was there like a plucked
Yeah,
out brain in control of it as opposed to something else?
Yeah. Well, it's been a minute since I read that.
Was it human brains in charge of the Bolo?
No, not at
Oh, and the
first.
Bolos, no.
How many people remember a book by Anne McCaffrey called The Ship Who Sings?
Oh, and the Ship
do.
Who
Didn't
Searched.
read
Yeah,
it,
the
but I heard
Sentient
of
Ship
it.
series. Yep. I like those. That was a
Okay.
human brain in the ship.
Yeah. So you take a human brain, and I have come across some books with tanks with brains in them, but they don't come close to Bolos, who are just artificial intelligence.
Leif, all of our tanks have brains in them. They're inside the people that are in the tanks.
There are a lot of people who would argue against that. You know what the D in DAT stands from?
What?
What does a D in DAT stand for? DAT. Dumb ass tanker.
Oh,
Okay.
That's right.
True
Yeah.
that.
So, and if we're looking at that, do you prefer seeing like the traditional tank style when it comes to the the Cav mission? Do you like it when they're more air mobile style approach, or the mecha? I think the air mobile gets kind of lost in the general spaceship of sci-fi, so I prefer the mecha
I like
in
battle
the
suits
tank
better
myself.
than anything else.
You like what?
Battle suits.
Okay.
I like
Is it-
power armor,
Which is
man.
different,
Power armor
it's
is
different than a
awesome.
mecha or powered armor, because powered armor is more like an exoskeleton you wear that allows you to wear a little more armor. Mecha obviously are like anthropomorphic tanks, but battle suits are powered armor that's big enough that you kind of wear it, kind of drive it, but it's big enough to be, its own armor rather than just like an infantry guy wearing more armor.
Right. That was the concept behind the Gladius suits in the last series that I did.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Heinlein is the godfather of,
Oh, yeah.
of
Yeah.
battle suits. But yeah, I like the idea of battle suits because I like the idea of the future battlefield as a place where there is no cover, there's no real concealment, and your only hope is mobility. So you want something that carries a heavy gun and is also fast and can get you places faster.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of BattleTech, both the tabletop and the MechWarrior video game series.
too.
And you use a lot of dirt armor when you're playing that game, unless you're me, and then your job is to be the harasser.
And
Get
I
a
love
light,
the
fast
the first series of books in the
Yeah,
BattleTech also.
the Michael Stackpole books still are
Yeah.
like my favorites. Oh, and anything that Blaine
I got to
wrote.
meet him once.
Yeah. Get something fast, medium to light with some anti-mech shotguns on it. You run behind the enemy lines and blow their legs off. That was always my thing. It was so much fun.
I hope your shrink is not listening to this, the voice. So
What
when you're seeing the equipment in speculative fiction. Do you like it when they consider the logistical issues of resupply for these massive creatures? Because shy of plasma, which is just energy, you're going to end up going through lots of expendables. So
that's where you get most of your realism that you were mentioning earlier. You can get a lot of realism in supply chain and logistics issues.
Also, that's one of the things I took into account for drop troopers was the battle suits they wore, the vigilantes. They could mount any number of weapons, but the main weapon they did mount was a plasma gun. And the reason they did it was because they didn't know when they would be able to link up with the logistics chain. And if they carried like any kind of projectile weapon, even a Gauss cannon as their main gun, they're going to run out of ammo, and you may or may not be in a position where you can get any more ammo. So they made the main gun something that didn't have to be reloaded.
I think that's cheating.
Would you say,
I
Leif?
think as far as being a combat-ready tank, if you make a plasma weapon or a laser weapon or something like that, you're cheating as far as a tank goes. Because, I mean, that's it. We're firing, shoot, move, and communicate. We're going to go ahead and bring fire down on you, but we're using kinetic energy.
Leif, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's right.
That's true. That's true. But I can't divorce myself from what I've seen and what I've done to something that I don't want to use the word mythical or magic, but it would be hard to make that change.
Well,
You mean like
I
the
mean,
Bradley
the
fighting
stuff we
vehicle?
use nowadays would be magic 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah. Who was it? Asimov?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was
And then
Asimov.
Christopher Stashif added the Youngverse with the Warlock series. Sufficiently
Thor.
advanced magic is indistinguishable from technology.
And Thor.
So when you look at that, then if you think the plasma is cheating, how do you not then think some of the energy power stuff that allows them, not to run out of gas? Is that cheating for you too?
Maybe. I've read some books where we have a power pellet, and that powers our vehicle for so and so many hours, and then we need another pellet to go back in. That also gives a teaching moment to some people. A lot of people don't know the logistics and strategic stuff that armor or tanks can do or can't do. We can look at a lot of things and say, hey, I'm going to build the greatest mother humping tank there is, and it can do everything. But again, we're looking at stuff that we're joking about. Put some limitations in there. Let the people know that people can die in a tank. But you can make a super tank. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what a Bolo was. Super tank, but it took damage.
Nobody could die in a Bolo.
Well, I've seen that.
Are there any other things that break the willing suspension of disbelief for the rest of you when it comes to armor and speculative fiction?
Yeah, if they carry troops in there and they're all comfortable.
That's
true.
good. That's really actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I was
we
going to
sat in here with
say
18 dudes and we're all comfortable. I'm like, no, you're
I was
not.
just
I'll
gonna
tell you
say,
what, I
stupid
had my choice to pick between light infantry and I didn't know what not. I could like choose which bases I wanted to go to, which would determine whether I was light infantry or mechanized. And after getting in the back of a Bradley and seeing how cramped it was, I'm like, I'm going light infantry.
Yeah, I was a Bradley platoon leader for about a year and a half. Super cool that I didn't have to hump anything unless I had to. And then it was an assault pack. So my ruck went on the outside of the turret. it was mostly filled inside the troop carrier with like ice chests, cold sodas, meat to barbecue, whatever. But still, even if it was designed to have like 12 infantrymen in the back of that thing.
Screw
Not
that.
that.
And we tried to do that, and it just, yeah, you can do it, but nobody's comfortable. Everybody's just stuffed in there like sardines.
If you're
Like, even
claustrophobic,
six.
you don't want to be in a Bradley.
No, that's why I like being the commander, because I was there in the turret with the master gun.
You're probably not
Yeah,
old
I'm
enough
like-
to remember M113s, Nick.
Oh, they were in Iraq. They brought them out of mothballs,
Oh, yeah?
especially.
I got
along
to
with the
drive
M21.
those. I got to drive one of those and sit in the back, and I'm like, this is so much preferable to the Bradley, although you probably
Oh,
get
yeah.
killed easier.
Yeah, it's true. Like, the armor was not good. That thing was just, I'm like, it was heavily plated, but like the IEDs would cut right through it. So it was a death carrier. It's like anytime they're like, hey, Garber, you're going to be in the M113. I'm like, I would just rather just walk. I would rather be on foot while the IED goes
I'll
off,
meet you
'cause
there.
At least it'll be quick. It'll be quick.
Put me in a
It's like I'm
memory.
walking down the street, boom, grain fields and sun on my face. I'm involved, I'm in Elysium, and this I don't have to worry about anything about it because I'm already dead.
Right.
And that was awesome. You put me in a 1-3. It's just you're in a tomb just waiting to die.
Just ask him to
I'll
put
tell
you
you
in the memory.
though, there's nothing quite like having a tank just show up. Because, like, I'm on guard duty one night. I was with a air defense artillery unit, Hawk missiles, and I'm on the extra mechanic, so I did all the guard shifts. So I'm in my bunker, just kind of like, but
Fighting the Z monster.
yeah, basically. And then I nodded off. Next thing I know, there's a chem light 6 inches away from my nose. It's tied to the main gun of an Abrams. They had almost driven over my friggin' fighting position because they didn't see it. And they were checking out the missiles. They're like, oh, we just wanted to look at the launchers. Oh, great. Thanks.
We didn't mean to almost.
I'll tell you, the only
Can you
thing
back
that'll
up now?
The only thing that'll trump a sniper team showing up to a light infantry unit is a tank.
Hey,
Tank
Nick.
showing up will trump the sniper.
Nick.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the coolers with the ice in your Bradley, I had a friend who was an M60 gunner in the Marines, and they used to keep like a cooler in there, and they were in Germany, and the turret traversed and the gears chewed up the cooler, and it sent ice water going down the back of the driver.
Okay, first of all, Germany's cold no matter what time of year you go.
You got that
Coldest I'd
right.
ever been in Germany was in August. It was August. It's summer. I should be cooking balls. No, coldest I'd ever been. I snuggled with 3 or 4 buddies. We don't talk about it. There's one picture. I thought we burned it. But
why did you take the
that's the
clothes
coldest
off?
I'd ever been in my life. Was in Germany in August.
An area of mud.
So when it comes to the space, okay, so comfortability and spaciousness is a deal breaker for you, Nick. What about Rick and Terry? You didn't answer that one. What would be the deal breaker for you that's going to break your suspension of disbelief?
I don't have
Honestly,
a deal breaker with that.
Go ahead. What did you say, Terry?
I don't have a deal breaker with that.
Honestly, for me, it's not like a technological thing as much as it is a being consistent with your technology. Because if you have a tank that can go, on if you have a power source powerful enough to make a big heavy tank with a fusion reactor float over any ground, then you might as well just make it a fighter plane. That's the thing. I just don't like the idea of hover tanks. It's not that I have a problem with the technology breaking my suspension of disbelief. It just doesn't seem consistent across the technology of the universe you're in.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, LaVoice?
My other thing with technology doesn't bother me. I kind of don't like hover tanks, but I don't mind them as much as I mind stupid, unresearched tactics, like people doing things with tanks that tanks aren't supposed to do.
Such
Shooting
as?
down airplanes.
Yeah, like shooting down starships and airplanes and And anything aside from tank on tank violence is fine, but using the tanks to do completely completely devastating an enemy fortification that's like real not just something they built out of local materials, but like a real armored fortress kind of a thing, and a tank takes it out. Yeah, it's like, no, you're not doing that. That's dumb.
Didn't Star Wars in the cartoons do the mounted their mobile tank on an asteroid as a tactical thing? I'm pretty sure
that.
It was in one of the animated ones.
Star Wars had walking AT-ATs and AT-STs, and that's their version of a tank, was something that actually had legs. So it's more
big
mecha.
lanky legs that you could tangle up and trip.
Yeah. You could trip them with vines.
So, okay, so nothing breaks the suspension of disbelief. Do you think that you still keep the because if you got the technology for certain things, you maybe don't need all the positions you see in a modern tank. So obviously you need the driver and the commander. Do you still feel like you need the loader and the ox gunner kind of thing? Or
it depends on the weapon systems you have on the tank. And do you have auto feed magazines for those weapons? Or do you go with the traditional, the guy that loads the shells? I always preferred fewer people in the tank for future, because they're cramped anyway. And then, you have a magazine feed system. Okay, so maybe you run out of shots and you have to stop and change the magazine. But then again, you could also have a magazine carousel built into the turret that would automatically change the magazine. I don't know. You could play with that. Just give yourself some limitations.
Let's just say you're shooting a Gauss cannon, which I guess would be the most realistic, grounded kind of weapon you could shoot from a futuristic tank. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to be able to carry a lot of ammo, but eventually you're still going to have to resupply. But they might have, if this is real, you could have like a automated logistics vehicle that runs out there and reloads you. And if it gets blown up, you send out another one because they're automated.
Like a tender.
Like
a resupply, like the Navy has their ammo boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about a robot assistant gunner.
With that type of ammunition, the Gauss ammo, you can go ahead and have a modular magazine that basically you eject it, load an one from the outside with one of those automated tanks, and just keep firing.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind. They wouldn't be really big rounds because you don't have the gunpowder inside of it. They'd probably be thin and maybe yay big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as they're super dense and magnetic, that's all you need.
Who really knows the reason why we don't have autoloaders on our M1s now?
I thought the reason was autoloaders makes the turret too high and makes it a bigger target.
Not really.
I thought that was the reason they gave anyway.
That could be one of the reasons
they gave.
Yeah, I don't know the real reason. I know that's what I read back in the day.
Private Shed Lab needed a job. That's why there's not autoloaders.
The Europeans that use autoloaders on their tanks.
And
I can tell you what they taught me in armor school.
What did they teach you in armor school, Leif?
It's fine to have an autoloader. Who's going to go out there and help you break track?
Yes.
There's good.
Who's going to go out there and help you pull the pack?
You needed an extra guy.
How many guys does it take?
No, as the tank commander, I volunteer not to go.
Okay. Now, when it comes to
you just
tactics,
supervise.
When you get with like the giant mechas, I like Gundam or whatever LaVoice is writing in his head, you can send those out as like one-man hunter-killer teams, essentially, because they're so massive. But when you talk about something like, futuristic M1, you've obviously got platoon and company, well, I guess platoon and troop tactics. Do you guys have a preference in organization? Because I know a lot of times I've read them, they did not use traditional cavalry organization.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because I struggled with that for Contact Front when I wrote it. I'm like, they've got these battle suits. Do they organize them in like tanks or like infantry? And I finally came to the conclusion that something as small as a battle suit, you should probably organize it like infantry. But when I wrote a mecha story, they organize it like a tank unit.
How many tanks are typically in a platoon?
Is it like 4? I think it's like 3 or 4 tanks is in a platoon, right?
Leif, how many tanks? How many tanks in a the equivalent of a platoon for
Yeah,
armor?
what's the task order for that?
4
What kind of unit? Armor unit or cav unit?
armor.
Let's go Army
Okay.
heavy armor.
You're going to have 5.
Oh,
Reason why you have
5.
5 is you're going to have a light section and a heavy section. The light section will have 2 tanks. Heavy section will have 3 tanks. And you can mix and match as long as you have one set that can overwatch the other set. That's how you do it.
Okay.
Now in the cav unit, you're down to 4. You're not really too worried about the heavy or light sections.
Because you're
now
all about,
isn't
'cause you're all about
armor and
speed.
cav going to be interchangeable? They're not the same thing.
Not as far as doctrine or as far as strategies go, no. Your cav unit ideally shouldn't have to engage.
They're scouts.
They can be,
Scouts out.
you know,
I
but
hate that phrase. God, I hate that phrase. No, you don't know why. Because when I got out, I went to reserves and I had this contract to be a tanker. And when I got there, my first weekend drill, they said, "Oh, we're not tankers anymore. We're armored scouts. And all your stuff is nullified. No bonus, no drill sergeant school, no nothing." So I was like, "Yep, guess what? I'm going IRR. Here's all your stuff back. See ya." And because I was mad.
You don't want to be a drill sergeant?
They took it all
I
away.
couldn't. They took it all away,
Drill
dude.
sergeant.
I had a
That's
contract for a
stupid.
$24,000 bonus to go to drill sergeant school, be a drill sergeant, and if I was going to be a tanker, and it was cool because I wanted to be a tanker.
Well, they violated the
But-
contract. You had every right to dip out.
Yep, and I did.
Dab.
Okay, so the organization and the mission is essentially different. Now, when you read about them in speculative fiction, do you have a preference in seeing one mission style over the other, Leif?
no, I don't. No, I don't have any. I mean, I've read both, and what I'm really interested in right now, who knows Kevin Eikenberry?
I do.
The name, yes.
Who's been reading The Buzzer War?
read
I
the
have
first
not had
one.
a
He's
chance. It's
gonna
on my
be
list, but
published
it's
it.
like really
I
fun.
highly encourage you to read The Buzzer Wars.
Okay,
In that
Yeah,
you
I know.
will
I've
see
heard
that
really
he
good
uses
things about
both
it.
missions. He uses armored and cav.
okay. So you can use both. Now, Terry, have you actually written proper tanks? I know you read a lot of this stuff, but you haven't. Okay. What about
Have you
Mecca?
written improper tanks?
Neither. I don't do mecha or tanks. I basically do variations of armored marines and infantry type stuff.
So, at what point in time does the armor that the individual ground forces wear qualify it to cross over from armor into being like powered armor / mecha? Like, where's that dividing line?
For me, it's a matter of strength. It's a matter of how much force the individual can leverage that armor against. If you're just wearing armor for protection and it's supporting its own weight, it's armor. If you're wearing something that you can punch through a bulkhead, maybe that's powered armor.
And at what point in time does it become like a mecha? opposed to-
My
I don't
opinion,
know
it
that I've
becomes
ever
a mecha
ridden
when
a
you
mecha.
drive it instead of wearing it.
Say that again. You talked over him. I couldn't hear you, Rick.
Sorry, I said, in my opinion, it becomes a mecha when you drive it instead of wearing it.
Yeah, like you sit in a command couch
Yeah.
and you make it walk instead of you moving your legs.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Okay. What about you, Nick? You gonna weigh in on this one?
What was the question?
so he was sleeping at the desk again. All right. So where is the line for you when it crosses from armor to powered armor to mecha, as far as scope of the individual suit the dude is wearing, or dudette?
I don't know, man. I'd have to agree with some of the other panelists where they're like, okay, if it has legs, like your suit like transforms into something with legs, something like with like Macross and the VF fighters. I think that goes more as a power suit as opposed to like an actual tank or heavy mobility weapon like that. Yeah. So if it has legs, probably a very simple distinction. It's like if it's got legs, it's a power suit.
Even though you're in like a command couch with joysticks instead of
I'm
actually
always
running.
in a command couch. Yeah, I mean, look at the mech suits in Avatar, the ones that they had there on Planet. Like they all had legs. I wouldn't consider those tanks. Those were definitely power armor. Ripley's little mobility construction suit that she used to fight the Queen.
He was asking about when a powered armor becomes a mecha, I believe.
Yeah, that was the
that's size. I think that's size. So once you start getting to like kaiju size, like something like the Empire State Buildings, I think it's more of a mech at that point. Or like Voltron or Power Rangers. You know,
BattleTech mechs were a lot smaller.
Yeah, BattleTech mechs way smaller.
Only like 30 or 40 feet, right?
Yeah, I don't.
That's the big ones.
So, what about the robot from RoboCop that you've got 3 seconds to comply? Would you consider that?
209, that's a robot.
It's not any.
That's a robot.
I mean, assuming you put somebody in that because it was big enough, you could have. Is that?
If you put somebody in that, then no, because it's got the bird legs and you'd have to drive it. You couldn't walk with your own legs with that thing.
Yeah.
Unless it had pedals.
It'd have to be bigger to have somebody in it, honestly. It wasn't big enough to have a man in it.
It's been many years since I've seen the movie. I'm just trying to come up with some examples I've seen that could split the difference. Okay.
Well, the ones in Avatar he was talking about were kind of on the small side, but they still didn't have you using your legs to walk with. So I'd still call them mecha.
Yeah, you sat in a command module and like it was all gears. And
then there's the external suits like from what was it, the third movie? Or was it this? Yeah, the third movie in the Matrix trilogy. Where they attacked Zion and these guys had these suits that they wore with the guns.
Those were mecha too, I think.
I don't know. It looked to me like they were more or less wearing them. I could be wrong.
In Aliens, that power loader thing, if it had armor, it would have been a battle suit rather than a mecha because she moved her legs and arms to make it move.
Okay. All right. So when you see them in fiction, do you guys like do you have a favorite when you're looking at the entire envelope of all things that have been tanks in speculative fiction? Do you have a favorite representation? I know we've talked about Hammer Slammers before, and everyone goes there when they talk about tanks. But do you have a favorite? Like for me, I think it was called Blade, which was in the Warhammer universe. But that's mostly because the tank commander stood at the front with a sword, because why not? He was just stabbing.
There. That's what that
charge.
Yeah.
But does anybody else have favorites when it comes to mechanized equipment in speculative fiction?
Well, I love BattleTech.
Yeah, huge BattleTech nerd, man. You see the Warhammer behind me from BattleTech. That's the Harmony Gold version there. That's an old Macross model that I repainted and
we can't see them because you're not on air.
Oh, well, okay.
He's kidding. I like the Battlemaster.
Battlemaster was great. That was the first one I piloted. Then I switched over to the Warhammer, and then I found medium mechs to be a lot more fun.
When I wrote my Wholesale Slaughter mech books,
which I've read and I loved them.
Thank you. I basically based the look of the mechs on what they call them, the forbidden,
the unseen.
The unseen. Yeah, I based them on the way those look. Change the names, of course.
Otherwise, you'd be in a lawsuit with Harmony Gold, just like FASA.
Yeah, but the one that the main character piloted was
got Leif. Leif's got his artwork there.
Oh,
nice.
Oh yeah, look at that. He's got battle.
There's the Marauder. Yeah, buddy. Nice.
It's nice. Your man cave is looking good.
I have a friend who's an artist that did that for me.
Oh, that's cool. Do they have a website where they sell that, or is he just do they do it on their own?
No, he just did it for me. He doesn't sell.
Okay, because if he did sell,
commission work.
His website. So when it comes to one of the things that tanks rely on or mecha is the ability to protect the user. A lot of times it's through thick armor, but in some instances you see them trading off that with like reflective shields, a la Star Trek vibe. What are your thoughts on shielding versus just the traditional metal shell when it comes to your equipment?
I like the Gungan shield from the Phantom Menace. That was fun, and I like the fact that the hover tanks that the droid army had couldn't get through it. That was fun.
I'm not sure if that's sarcasm or not.
I agree. No.
It was fun. I thought it was cool. I love the fact that the Gungans were this allegedly primitive people, but they had this force field tech that completely stymied the droid army for a brief time.
Anybody else want to go?
I disagree with Shields. I mean, why am I rolling over ground or walking over ground in armor if I need a shield?
I could give you a pragmatic reason that would sound good in a book.
Please.
If you have, this is not for like a force field like Star Trek. This would be more like an electromagnetic or electrostatic field, which could deflect, ferrous magnetic type of projectiles like Gauss weapons, bullets, shells. But that wouldn't affect something like a laser. So you'd still need armor to keep the lasers from hitting you.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
But I mean, I feel like we're going to have some kind of, I think they're working on now, like some sort of electrostatic fields that they can use to take out drones and missiles.
Right. They've got some now that do some kind of field or pulse generator that can knock out, I think, 30 drones in a shot, something like that.
I think that's going to become standard if we keep having tanks in the next 20 years, 30 years. They're going to have some kind of electromagnetic generation to take out all the things that can kill a tank that we keep developing.
It's just a step up from the reactive armor they already have.
Right now, currently, they're working on something like that for anti-drones.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they consider like an electromagnetic pulse or something, but they're, pick up your next Armor and Cav magazine and read it.
So, one of the things that you see is the armor solutions we're seeing in the Ukraine war, Russia war. We saw in Iraq where you had the fencing around the stuff to prevent like RPGs. And that gives an aesthetic question when you're reading about it or watching it on the screen or comics or games or whatever. You've got some of the presentation of the armor is all super clean. Everything is pristine versus you see others where it looks very lived in and damaged and dinged up and practical effects added, on the spot.
Cool stains, grease stains.
Right. Is there a preference that you guys have as consumers of the product versus, on how that's presented?
I've never liked the clean look. That was one of the things about Star Trek that always bugged me. Everything was so clean. I really enjoy the lived-in look. That's why I like Star Wars better because it's all their tech is it looks like they're just holding it all together with good thoughts and good intentions and some
hopes and dreams and duct tape.
Yeah,
basically. I remember when I was
100-mile-an-hour tape.
When I was in Iraq, I remember we escorted a convoy carrying tanks to their final destination. And I remember one of the times the conversations I had with the tanker, because, they had one person for each vehicle, each tank with us. So we didn't have to sign for their equipment. And when I asked him how he was handling being bored, he's like, that was his comment. It's the first time I've been clean in months because, he wasn't in the tank getting filthy. And that sort of stuck with me about tanks, about how dirty they get inside with the grease and the gas and all the things.
And the BO.
Yes, that too, I imagine, because it gets hot in there, I bet, with the engine running.
Leif?
The thing that makes inside the tank the dirtiest are the people.
Okay.
There's not a lot of stuff. I mean, we have cherry juice or FRH, which will come back, and not a lot of grease or any lot of fuel. But the people will dirty up the place. How much crap you're taking in there with you, how much pogey bait you got. I spilled my coffee, I spilled something else. But you live in the turret, you live in the driver's hole, you keep it clean. but bodies will get dirty. And you
Okay.
drag that dirt in with you.
That's fair. And you get funk delicious when you're over in the desert.
True.
So now, do you take in fiction, like we've seen tanks just sort of and mecha, they kind of go anywhere. Do you make considerations when you're consuming the content about the terrain that they're operating in and the weather conditions? Because I most of what we see, tank is a tank. It doesn't matter if it's a desert or a winter planet like Hoth. None of that seems to make a difference.
Well, my battle suits can fly brief distances, so they're kind of independent of terrain as long as it's not water.
Jump jets for the win.
Okay.
The mechs, when in my mech stories, some of the lighter ones had jump jets, the heavier ones did not. So the heavier ones had to be dropped with these disposable rocket frames on them that would break off, and but yeah, the heavier ones you had to really watch the terrain because they couldn't get across. The bigger, the more rougher terrain.
Okay. Well, what about you, Terry? Because you've mentioned some of what you like to read, which would cover some of these topics. Do you have a preference on whether the equipment is impervious to the weather conditions?
I like it when the equipment is not impervious to the weather conditions. Now, if you're talking something like powered armor or a tank, it pretty well better be impervious to as much of the elements as it possibly can be. But where possible, you need to take the environment into account.
I mean, most of my battle suits and mechs could work in outer space, so being cold ain't gonna hurt them. Being hot ain't gonna hurt them.
And one of the other topics we never talk about is the weak spots. Like the old joke was you had to shoot the tanks in the backside or hit them from underneath, which is why you ended up with some of the mines in the IEDs, and then you get the V shape to the LC. What is I'm drawing a blank on them? The replacement for the Humvees, LMTVs and such. They had the V shape bottom to account for that. What do you look for when you're talking speculative fiction and weakness in the vehicles to make them realistic?
Well, the joints are always going to be the weak spot in battle suits or mechs. Because they have to.
When I designed the Gladius suits, the first thing I did was took away a head that you could turn, because the neck joint is one of the most vulnerable spots, and you break your neck, you might as well not be in a suit.
Michael, you can have a 360-degree.
That's what I gave him. 360-degree visual
display. You don't need a head neck that can turn.
You don't need a head that can turn. Yeah, that's exactly what I gave them. I was like, nope, get rid of that.
But that solves the problem without giving them a weakness that you could have. And obviously, designers are going to account for
elbows. Hips, knees, elbows.
Yeah,
are going to be weak spots.
All right, what about for future tanks then? That's the mechas because they're humanoid.
Or battle suits, yeah.
Battle suits. But what about for like the tanks?
Depends on what kind of a tank it is. I mean, is it a hover tank? Because then the plenum's always going to be the weak spot. You jam that crap up, then they ain't going to move.
And then obviously, if it's a traditional tread system, blow that tread.
Yeah.
Okay. Leif, you want to weigh in on that one?
Well, yeah. I mean, for your standard tank, it's shoot, move, and communicate. You stop it from moving, you lessen the threat some. You stop it from shooting, you've lessened the threat. And of course, you stop it from communicating, you killed the tank, you've lessened the threat. So I would have to say, yeah, I mean, the weak spots, all of us know it. I mean, turret ring, aim for the turret ring. Aim for the treks. Aim for the rear grill. If I show you my ass, you better fire my ass up. Okay. The artillery that can come in and arc overhead, then it's part of the armors on top.
Really,
So,
I would have thought it'd be underneath, but okay.
No, it's pretty bulky underneath. Thinnest
Running
on
over
top.
mines is a bad thing. So yeah,
That's why we have those missiles that shoot up and then go straight down into the tanks.
So do they still have the escape hatch underneath like you see in some of the old World War II movies?
No. No.
Is that a factor you like seeing written into your speculative fiction, the aforementioned escape hatch?
I would say that you can add escape hatches or blow-off panels if you want to in speculative fiction. But with the advent of the M1, they hardened the lower part of the tank, the hull. So that did away with the escape hatch.
Okay.
I mean, why have a weak spot? If I'm saying that, if I'm using the right verb, why have a weak spot right underneath your tank?
Which leads to, a rollover is essentially a death sentence then if you can't get help. Because I saw some tanks roll over into some of the drainage systems when we were overseas with an IED. It rolled. So you're pretty much at that point just trapped.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be a nightmare.
That would be a weak spot. Yeah,
That
for
would
sure.
really be no thanks. Ugh.
No tanks. Huh.
Ah,
Any closing thoughts? Because I promised everyone we'd only be about an hour, and we've kind of rambled all over the place and all over each other. But any closing thoughts, Nick?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question. Closing thought.
Wake up! All right.
No.
how many beers have you had?
It's not that I'm retardedly busy, so I'm like wearing 9 hats at the same time while doing this.
Closing thoughts.
Nick.
Closing thoughts. I don't have any. Tanks are cool. They're awesome in speculative fiction. Let's see more tanks.
All right, Rick.
Well, I think the rule of cool trumps all when you're writing it. Sometimes when you're reading it. In reality, I don't think the near future is going to look anything like any of the speculative fiction I've written or read. But, farther along, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what technologies are going to pop up. So there might even be room for mecha at some point, in some short span where the defensive technology is much better than the offensive technology. So write what feels cool to you and try to come up with a good reason for it to be realistic. And if you're reading it, try not to judge it too harshly.
All right. The voice in your head.
I'm just gonna if you're gonna use it, justify its existence in your world building at least a little. I mean, rule of cool, yeah, absolutely, it applies. But I just don't see far future where we really have a big need for tanks. But they're still fun to play with, narratively.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that part of the rule of cool applies. But if you're gonna have them, have a reason to have them. Don't just say we've got tanks. Why? Wipe them out from orbit, or we have this weapon and that weapon, and they're kind of pointless. Well, no, let's justify their existence at least a little bit.
All right, Terry.
I think that what's going on in the world today is going to lead us into a place that I'm not sure that tanks are really going to be a thing in the future. I think small distributed weapons like drones and other things are going to continue to be the way we go. So we're going to write what's fun and cool, but I suspect warfare is going to go a different direction.
That's on the near term, though.
I'm not sure that it's going to change in the long term either. Once you
feel
go
like
small, are you going to go big again? I don't think so.
Depends on the technology you have.
Well, I mean, it depends on how ubiquitous the ability to localize EMP fields are going to be. Because at a certain point in time, once you can do that, you can negate some of the drone type equipment.
At some point, you're going to have to either get rid of drones or make them autonomous because you're not going to be able to communicate with them.
Don't we already have some autonomous drones?
Yeah. Not armed ones, I don't think.
That's what you think? Ha ha ha!
Okay.
The voice in your head does not share the opinions of Terry Mixon, NSA, so just leave me out of this.
All right. And finally, Leif, as a former tanker yourself, closing thoughts on the appearance of them in speculative fiction.
I'm enjoying it. I still think that tanks do have a mission in the future, but I would also like to mention this, and any of you grunts, you can yell at me later. Don't give your grunts nothing more than body armor. if you're going to turn them into something in armor, something in a mech, you're making a tanker.
Okay.
I mean, that's me. I mean, let's get back to, well, drop troopers. They're in body armor. They walk around and move around. They're not driving it.
No, they're in battle suits. They're kind of tank-ish though.
Yeah, but they have to walk to move them.
Yeah. Well, they also have the jump jets.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
if I compared them to anything, it would be like a mix between a tank and a helicopter gunship.
okay.
Yeah, I can see that. All right.
Yeah, the flying a little bit.
Most of it was falling from orbit, so they were just,
Mine didn't fall from orbit. They didn't have jets that powerful.
No, the Heinleins, they did drop them from orbit,
Yes,
didn't
they
they?
did.
In the capsule.
Heinleins did, yes. Weren't they in pods or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have drop ships that drop them off.
Oh, okay.
400 or 500 meters.
I think with battle suits and power armor, you can do different roles on the battlefield. I remember John Stakely's armor.
Yeah.
Felix got issued a scout suit, which was far lighter and faster than the main armored suits that the rest of the troops wore. I dug the idea that you had different types of armor for different functions.
If you haven't read Armor by John Stakely, read it. Do yourself a favor.
Absolutely. Find
Good
it,
book.
read it. It's fantastic.
Also look for Forever War.
Yeah.
Have you guys read the Blood and Armor series by Bill Fawcett? It's another good one where he's doing essentially powered armor with his Gog and Magog suits.
Richard Fox, who didn't show up, wrote those Armored Dragoon books. They were really good.
Yeah, and his Ember Wars had some of them in there as well.
Then there's my co-author Peter Stanley with his Cav Dev Cycle books, the Dragoons books.
But in the ones by Bill Fawcett, one of the things they did is they had to walk them, but they were bigger than normal. So they, technically, I guess it'd be powered armor. By that's the definitions we determined. But I did enjoy it.
Copy of Armor.
That's a well-loved copy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've read it, I think 5 or 6 times.
I bought this one at a used bookstore in the 1980s.
Yeah, and they used to make your cargo pockets conveniently sized just for the paperback to slide right in.
Yeah, now they're doing away with that. It sucks.
I know.
They're getting rid of cargo pockets? Really?
No, they're doing away with paperbacks that size.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. So this is the part of the interview, dear listener, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platform. Your reviews help the right readers find the right book. It really does matter. So do your people. Join us in the discussion. What's your favorite arms and armor and speculative fiction? And all the things we talked about. Join the discussion. We would love to hear it. And I will pester anybody you have questions for. And with that, we're just going to go around robin. Nick, if they wanted to stalk you on the wild interwebs and catch you, drawing in Tober, where would you be?
Facebook, Instagram, at Nick Garber Art on both of those. You can find my company at Apogee Comics on Facebook, Instagram. You can also follow my website, apogeecomics.com, and that's where you can find me and send me a message.
Any plans to add armor or mecha to your universe with your superheroes?
I'm an infantryman, so probably not.
All right, Rick.
I leave that to professionals.
Rick, if we wanted to stalk you on the wild interwebs, where might we do so?
The best place is to go to the Science Fiction Worlds of Rick Partlow on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Duty Honor Planet. You can post there, you can message me, and I will probably answer. I do have a website, rickpartlow.com. I rarely post on it anymore. And I am on Instagram, but I almost never check it. So Facebook is the place if you want to contact me.
And if you want to talk with him and have him not read it, then the other places are great.
Yeah.
All right. LaVoice, if we wanted to stalk you on the wild interwebs, where might we do so?
Well, if you want to find my books, quickest way to do that is go to my webpage at michaellevoice.com. If you're more interested in just hearing me jibber jabber about pop culture, sci-fi, and fantasy and things I find interesting that week, you can check out my YouTube channel and TikTok channel, both called La Voice in Your Head. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't really have a huge presence in either one of those places. Some would say I don't have a huge presence. Nice. In YouTube either, but that's okay. I'm working on that.
There you go. All right. What about you, Terry? If we wanted to stalk you on the wild, wild interwebs?
You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me at terrymixon.com.
Okay. And we have all of those links in the show notes. And if you want to listen to him ramble about his thoughts on writing.
You forgot Leif.
No, I'm not done yet. If you want to listen to him ramble about his thoughts on writing, he also has that podcast, which is linked in the show notes as well. Rick has one too, by the way, on his YouTube channel. So that's linked.
How to write science fiction that doesn't suck.
It's a very noble goal. Leif, since you are not a writer, but you like to read all the things, what are you reading at the moment?
What am I reading? I'm reading some current stuff. I'm reading some of Rick's stuff. I'm reading some real old Frank Herbert stuff. I just finished reading The Dragon in the Sea.
Okay.
Good book. Who knows James Young?
Yeah.
He's a former CAV officer, West Point guy. We've interviewed him. He writes kaiju.
Lives here in Topeka.
Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
I read his books. And true, I'm not a writer, but I have been contacted to ask how to write certain parts of some books.
Technical advisor, subject matter expert on all the cool
Something
things.
like that, yes.
Music business cards.
Leif Dolan, SME.
Yeah.
Tank guru, I don't know, tank god something. You got to come up with a cool catchline now.
Yeah.
Tank God or Tank Lord. Tank Lord.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh, there you go. Put that on a business card quick. All right. And you can find us, dear listener, on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we link to all the things: the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitter. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Substack, and our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. You can email us at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. For professional purposes only, people, save the shenanigans from Stab over there on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee until they get high on their own supply. If you want some of that coffee brand coffee, the discount code is Podcast Grunts. The link is in the show notes. You get 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. You keep the lights on. It's a win-win, people. And with that, I'd like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us and Terry's Cats. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, I thank all of you for coming on. It was herding cats, and I had a glorious time doing it. Not even Terry's actual cats, just the metaphorical kind. And with that, we're going to hit the end button before Rick starts cussing up a